West art from a high school setting where a boy is whacked on his back by someone. It is Chen Yin, the friend of our protagonist Kyan Yi. He asks Kyan Yi why he didn't wait for him after school. Kyan Yi tells him that he is going to visit his mom at the hospital. Chen Yin remembers it and says that he will accompany him to meet his mother. Kyan Yi tells his friend that he needs to get some money from the bank so he can pay his mother's hospital fees. Chen asks him if his mother is okay and Kyan replies that she has the sleeping sickness and the chances of her waking up are very slim. Chen Yin asks him if it's the same disease that has affected millions of people worldwide. The disease makes a person fall into a permanent state of sleep. Kyan Yi says that his mother will wake up and she will be fine. They walk to the bank, and when they get inside, Chen says that he will use the restroom and asks Kyan to get the money. We see Kyan Yi withdrawing 6,000 and suddenly a man in a gray hoodie walks in from the door behind. We see him reaching into his pocket and pulling out the gun. He aims the gun at Kyan Yi and asks him to not move as it's a robbery. Kyan Yi is terrified and the robber aims his gun at the cashier and asks her to fill the bag with $1 million. He grabs Kyan from behind and aims the gun at his temple. He asks the cashier to hurry up or he will shoot the kid. We see a shadowy figure towering over the robber to hit him. It is Chen Yin who hits the bad guy with a fire extinguisher. The robber faints on the ground after the hard hit. Kyan Yi finds the situation a mess while Chen Yin explains that he just saved his life. Kyan says that he would have left after taking the money and there was no need to take unnecessary risks, but Chen Yin just looks thrilled after what he has done. Suddenly someone shoots a bullet through Chen Yin's head. Kyan Yi stares at his friend as he bleeds to death on the floor. He finds the person who shot his friend and it's a man with a huge gun. Kyan Yi understands this dire situation. He is stuck. The person starts shooting at Kyan Yi as he notices the robber's gun on the ground. He jumps to grab the gun, picks it up, and aims at the bad guy. They both shoot at each other at the same time. But Kyan Yi's bullet went through the bad guy's head, killing him instantly. Blood spurts out of MC's mouth as he is shot in his torso. We see tears flowing from his eyes and his body feels a cold aura around him. He feels as if he is floating inside water and his body feels heavy. He starts thinking about how his mother and sister wouldn't survive if he didn't pay the hospital fees. We see him lying on a hospital bed where a girl is kneeling beside him and a man in a long coat stands examining him. We see Kyan Yi trying to fight death as if he would do anything to survive, and he keeps repeating that he cannot die at such a place as his family needs him. Kyan Yi then hears a voice that calls him a frail mortal and says, "I will grant you a second chance at life." He asks whom is this person speaking to him, but there is no answer. The voice tells Kyan Yi to fight like a wild beast and prove his worth to him. Kyan Yi opens his eyes and finds himself in another world. The voice welcomes the MC to the realm of eternity. We see that Chen Yin has also arrived in this new world and he meets Kyan Yi. Chen asks what is this gloomy and cold place and Kyan says it's probably hell. Suddenly a voice vibration goes through their minds. It welcomes them to the eternal realm. The voice says that it's a shame both of them have ended their lifespans on Earth, but they are lucky enough to be granted a chance to qualify for the eternal realm test. Both of them are shocked by this information. We see a watch on their left wrist and they both stare into it thinking what is eternal realm test. The voice says that after passing the test they can choose their reward. Chen Yin tries to remove the watch but it seems stuck to his body. The rewards include strengthening the watch, requesting soul fragments, returning soul fragments, returning to the mortal world, and many more. Hope strikes through both of them when they find out the option of returning home. After they pass the test, 2 divine watches will be given to them. The details of the Eternal Realm test have been sent to the drop-down menu. Kyan Yi stares at his watch and wonders what a drop-down menu is. Chen Yin finds a person standing on the edge of the cliff and asks Kyan if that's his sister Duo. Kyan Yi wonders if it's his sister, but till then Chen Yin says that he will go and check if it's her. Kyan asks him to stop for a minute. Chen is furious about why he would stop him and asks what is he waiting for. He asks Kyan Yi if that isn't his sister. Kyan tells him that the reason he asked him to stop is because Duo can't be here. She must be in her cram school class. Chen says that's why he wanted to go and confirm if it's her. Kyan Yi feels that Kyan Duo can't be in the Eternal Realm as the cram school is a safe place, and he also contacted her not so long ago. We see Duo standing on the edge as her hair flies. Kyan Yi feels that this Duo is strange to him. She gives him a weird feeling of dissonance and he knows it isn't his sister. Out of nowhere, we see her jump down from the cliff, but she makes a few bounces and jumps right into the waterfall. Chen Yin feels they should head to the waterfall to make sure it isn't Duo, and she can also be related to their Eternal Realm test. Kyan Yi thinks they should be careful as this test won't be that simple. They both walk towards the waterfall and notice that there is no entrance below the waterfall. Duo jumps in. Kyan Yi says it seems like an illusion. Chen Yin wonders if the image of Duo was an illusion and she emerges from the waterfall behind him. He notices her presence and in a swift second, we see a monster summon from her head. It has a huge and has a big mouth with a long body. Kyan Yi screams at his friends and asks them to get out of the way. The monster makes a strong move which sends Kaini flying backwards. We then see Chen Yinan injured and bleeding from his mouth. He asks himself to wake up quickly. He looks at his friend running towards him. We see that Chen Yinan is in the mouth of the monster, with half of his upper body lying out. He asks Kaini to hurry up and the monster bites the body of Chen Yinan, killing him. His hand flies out and his blood sticks to Kaini's face. The voice reports that the player Chen Yinan has failed the preliminary selection and has been confirmed dead. Kaini says that this place is hell. We see people gathered for Kaini and Chen Yinan's funeral in the mortal world. They talk about how they fought against the criminals and lost their lives. We see the real Duo crying for her brother, and her uncle says it's his fault that he couldn't protect them both. We see Kaini lying in his casket with flowers as all of them gather to pray for them both. The voice informs Kaini about his mortal body being cremated. If it's done, then he won't be able to return to life. The only way to prevent this is to finish the mission as soon as possible. He has to kill the dark ghost anglerfish and then he will gain some years to his life. He has less than 10 minutes left according to the funeral home. Kaini looks determined as he tightens his wrist and prepares for a battle. Kaini is standing in front of the monster after it has eaten his close friend when he hears Chen Yinan's voice out of nowhere. It tells him to escape quickly, and Kaini is shocked after realizing it's his friend's voice speaking to him. In a fraction of a second, the monster attacks Kaini and opens its mouth to eat him. But somehow Kaini dodges this attack and wonders if the monster gained his friend's consciousness after devouring him. The monster has its mouth open and its antenna is shining with blue flames. Kainian tries to find its weakness to kill him. He notices the shining antenna on his head. The dark ghost anglerfish attacks Kaini again, but the protagonist dodges it and jumps right on its head. Kaini gets a hold of the antenna and pulls it out with all his might. He screams and asks for the monster to spit out Chen Yinan. The monster appears in pain as Kaini rips off the antenna. We see blue blood spurting out and the monster dies. The voice says the task is complete and he obtains an unpurified dark ghost fragment. It asks Kaini if he wishes to return to the mortal realm and sets the transmission on. Kaini yells at the watch asking about Chen Yinan. It says that Chen Yinan has died because of failing the test. This leaves Kaini in shock and he wakes up inside his casket. Everyone at the funeral is terrified and they run away thinking it's a ghost. We see Duo hug Kaini. She cries, saying the thought of never seeing her brother again was eating her up. Duo tells Kaini to not scare her this way next time, but Kaini is staring at Chen Yinan's body beside his casket. It's nighttime in the city and Kaini is standing on his balcony. He feels the eternal realm felt like a dream sequence. But it surely wasn't a dream because he still had the watch in his hand. He tried to speak to it but didn't get any response. He looks at the watch and wonders if it's midnight already. Suddenly a countdown of 10 seconds starts on his watch. He is terrified, worried, and confused about this countdown. On the 5th second his balcony breaks and he falls. While he is in the air, he starts wondering what's happening to him. We see that he is about to hit the ground and blood splashes everywhere when the countdown is over. Kaini returns to the Eternal Realm and an attack sends him flying through buildings. We see him injured and wondering what's happening to him again. We see it's an origami monster who can use its strong paper whips to kill the opponents. It attacks Kaini again with one of its paper whips but he dodges it. He feels there is no time to plan or think, but he gets a piece of information that it's better to use the Divine Mask while fighting the Dark Ghosts. Kaini wonders what is a Divine Mask as he runs in his casuals and flip-flops. The origami monster keeps attacking and Kaini keeps running away. He remembers that after defeating the last monster he obtained the Divine Mask as a reward but he never received it. Kaini asks how to use this Divine Mask. The voice tells him to just wear the mask on his face. Kaini isn't quite pleased with this stupid answer. The paper whips slash around his leg and injures it. He falls to the ground and watches the origami monster unleash its attacks at him. Just as he is about to be killed, a masked girl uses her weapon to slash off the paper whips. The origami monster then uses its full attack on the masked girl. She stands in front of an injured Kaini. After watching the origami monster's attack, he feels that they both are going to die now. The masked girl puts her finger over her mouth and says SHHH. This surprisingly stops the origami monster. Even Kaini is shocked at how this powerful being was stopped by her words. She jumps and uses her weapon to cut down this powerful dark ghost. Kaini is impressed by the power of this masked girl and how she managed to kill it with one strike. Kaini says hello to her and she greets him back. Our MC looks quite flustered after meeting this powerful girl. Just when Kaini is about to ask her something, she waves him off and tells him that she doesn't have time to chat and that he should escape quickly if he still has the strength. The masked girl tells Kaini that there are 2 origami in total and the one she killed was the power type. Now the other one is the invisible one, and to complete the mission he should kill both of them. She tells him that the invisible type is very weak and even a normal human being can kill it. She asks him to look around for him and stay away from her. Kaini says that he thinks it would be safer if they stick together, but she tells him that teaming up in this realm doesn't help as every individual has different missions. The missions get harder as the person's abilities grow. She tells Kaini that she came to kill her target and his staying back will only hinder her battle. She walks away telling Kaini that the monster she is about to face is much stronger than the origami. Kaini walks through a field and thinks that the masked girl is right about him being a newbie burden. He is confused about how he would find the invisible origami in such a huge place. Trying to find it would be like finding a needle in a haystack. Kaini is shocked after hearing a loud explosion from the direction of the ruined temple he was at. That's when the masked girl comes flying at him and he grabs her in his arms. Kaini asks the girl if she is okay. She asks him to run away as she lies there injured in his arms. We see a huge cyborg-like monster standing behind Kaini and he is unaware of him. A voice comes out of the monster saying, "Sister Faye, run away quickly," similar to what happened with Kaini when he was battling the first monster. Kaini is attacked by the monster's heavy punch, but he runs away carrying the masked girl. He wonders when the monster gets behind him. The girl asks him to wear his mask to fight the monster. The cyborg monster attacks with a laser beam, but somehow Kaini dodges it again. The girl asks him to get inside the drop-down menu and use the mask. That's what his mind clicks and he realizes how the watch works. He swipes through the hovering screen and finds the mask. He clicks on it and the mask starts loading on the screen. Kaini wants it to happen quickly because the monster is on the verge of killing them. The mask is retrieving the data of the divine body and that's why it's taking a while. The monster comes closer to them and Kaini feels it might be over for them, but the masked girl uses her technique to quiet down the monster and it stops right in front of the duo. The loading is complete and the mask is called Resting in the River of Hades. We see Kaini touching his mask and the girl tells him now is the time for him to attack. A strong light beam shoots through the sky and we see Kaini holding a unique sword in his hand. The monster is grabbing the sword with its hand trying to stop it. Kaini slashes the sword and lands a powerful blow on the enemy. Even the girl is impressed with this level of power. A B-rank dark ghost was killed by Kaini with just one strike. She blushes as she stares at this new powerful version of Kaini. She gets up and says the mission is completed and she will say her thanks when they meet again. She tells Kaini that the invisible origami will be hiding in a corner of that temple, and he will find it and return back to the mortal realm. Kaini asks her to wait as he wants to ask some more questions. She tells him that they will meet very soon. A few days later and sees Kaini sleeping on his school desk, and two girls who call him Monitor wake him up. One of them says that they are heading back to the dormitory and asks if he wants to join them. Kaini says he has to work on some blueprints and waves them goodbye. He checks his watch and finds that he has a very long countdown now compared to before. It's probably because he defeated a very powerful enemy. He has 1 hour left and that's when he gets a text asking him to come to the student union office immediately. Kaini wonders about the reason for them to summon him at 10 o'clock. But he decides to go because he doesn't want them to find his body in an hour. He hopes it will be over within an hour and knocks on the door. He is shocked to find the masked girl when he enters the student union office. She is waiting for him without her mask. This is what she meant when she said, "I will see you soon." Kaini recognizes her without her mask and asks what is she doing at his school. She tells him that as the president of the student union, it's her right to be there. Kaini is shocked after knowing she is the president. She has known him since he became the Monitor and she had also attended his funeral. She slipped away during the chaos at the end when he came back to life. Kaini is shocked to hear this and asks if she has known about him all this time. She knew that he was chosen by the Eternal Realm, but their encounter was a mere coincidence. Kaini asks about Chen Yinan. She says that his body has been cremated and they can't get him back now. Kaini grinds his teeth in anger and frustration. She tells him to not blame himself because he was someone who couldn't pass the entry test and there is no way he could have survived later. She talks about how the weaklings who somehow managed to get through the entries die sooner or later. This pissed off Kaini and he grabs her collar and asks her to show respect to her friend. We see that Kaini has accidentally spat on her face. She quickly grabs his throat and puts him to the ground. She wants him to make sure to not spit on someone's face as basic respect, and tells him that Chen Yinan's death was because of their incompetence and wasn't her fault. We see that she is sitting on top of Kaini as she holds his collar. She answers his questions because he saved her and asks him to not step over the line. Kaini asks if this behavior is her version of showing gratitude. She agrees and leans over to whisper in his ear saying this is just the start. Kaini turns red and says that he doesn't even know her name and that this won't be appropriate. We see the president aiming a gun at Kaini. He wakes up shaking in the Eternal Realm. She tells him that one should always enter the Eternal Realm wearing the mask and be on alert. We see a fireball coming at an unaware Kaini. She uses her weapon to destroy the fireball and says that even being a second late wearing the mask can result in death. They see a flying monster over them and the masked girl asks Kaini how many dark ghosts he has killed. He has killed 3. one anglerfish, one humanoid monster, and one invisible origami, and we see him wearing his mask. The flying monster comes at the masked girl, but she uses her powers to quiet down the monster. She asks Kaini to check his backpack as he would of the fragments from the dark ghosts he defeated. We see the monster fall on the ground and Kaini tells her that he found the fragments. She asks him to eat those fragments and Kaini is shocked by this. She grabs the fragments and shoves them down his mouth, saying he should do what she says. Kaini is on the floor coughing and the girl tells him that eating the fragments of the dark ghosts will increase his experience points and this is how he will level up. She asks him to check his status and he has now reached the level 4. She tells Kaini that he should have unlocked some skills now and he should try them. He uses the summoning skill and unlocks it. It has the power of the Dark Zero Ghost Anglerfish and it creates a version of Kaini. The president tells him that he has the skills to use the abilities of the dark ghosts he has killed. That's when a bright aura arrives behind the masked girl and it's her target for the mission. The monster starts running towards the duo. She tells him to attack him while she blocks his movements. She uses her powers to quiet down and stabilize the monster while Kaini lands a powerful strike on it, but the monster blocks the strike with its 4 hands. Kaini realizes that he can't cut through, and the girl grabs his collar and throws him behind mid-fight. She goes head onto the monster uses his 4 hands to land an attack on the masked girl, but she uses her weapon and slashes through 2 of his hands and cuts them off. After this, she strikes and cuts the monster, killing it. After showing off her insane powers, she asks Kaini to check his mask status and read it out. He reads the details as rank F, power, B, speed, C. She stops him and says that enough for now and he doesn't need to read it anymore. She is shocked by the low attributes and wonders if his defeating the faceless monster was a fluke. That's when the flame bird arrives behind her. She apologizes to it for forgetting to defeat it and asks Kaini to deal with this one. Kain jumps in the air to strike a heavy blow on the flame bird. The monster is also charging its mouth with a fireball. The president realizes that Kaini is having trouble battling an F-rank dark ghost and wonders if the last time was a fluke. Suddenly she realizes that Kaini is using the Anglerfish's illusion ability. He disappears in thin air and confuses the flame bird. He is using the ability of the origami dark ghost. He reappears behind the flame bird and uses the laser cannon from the faceless dark ghost. But it doesn't work and Kaini is left in a funny position in front of the flame bird. He realizes the attack failed and the monster attacks him with a fireball. But the masked girl cuts off its head at the right time and saves Kaini yet again. He bows down and thanks the senior for lending a helping hand. She realizes that he gains new abilities with every dark ghost he kills, and that is something impressive. They both wake up in the same position they left, on each other. M.S. President's huge bosoms are resting on Kaini's chest and he asks her to move for a moment. They both are left embarrassed after this moment, but she introduces herself as Chen Fei and says she is open if he has any questions. Chen Fei tells Kaini to come to her if he wants to team up in the Eternal Realm. He shakes her hand saying he will rely on his senior. Seems like this whole conversation was heard by some sneaky girl. Chen Fei senses someone peeping and asks who it is. The person is Cheng Yuanu, who is Kaini's classmate. She apologizes for bothering them. Kaini introduces her as their class secretary and Cheng Yuanu greets Chen Fei nicely. Fei is quite furious and asks Yuanu what she was doing outside the student union office so late at night. Cheng Yuanu says it's a misunderstanding and she came to check if they needed any help, thinking it might be an emergency. She looks quite terrified of the president. Then Cheng Yuanu asks them to not worry as she won't tell anyone about the class monitor and student council president's affair. Both Chen Fei and Kaini are flustered after hearing this. Chen Fei knuckles down Kaini's head saying they aren't dating. Kaini in pain questions why would she hit him. Cheng Yuanu asks them to not worry and she won't share it with anyone, but there's a hand-like figure hovering over and somehow it pulls out her soul. Yuanu's real body collapses and Kaini asks Chen Fei what's happening. She notices the slow breathing, slow heartbeats, sudden drop in body temperature, and loss of consciousness and realizes it's the death-sleep syndrome. Chen Fei stares at the soul but it runs away. She tells Kaini to chase after her soul and leave her body alone. They run behind the soul and Kaini asks Fei about the so-called death-sleep syndrome. She tells him that it happens when a dark ghost swallows a soul. Kaini asks how can dark ghosts enter the mortal realm. She explains how some of these dark ghosts can travel through portals. They have been destroying some of them to prevent this from happening. Chen Fei says that humans can get stronger by eating the dark ghost fragments, the same way dark ghosts get powerful by eating human souls, and this is how the death-sleep syndrome started. Kaini asks if there is a way to treat this syndrome. She tells him that it's possible if he finds the dark ghost that ate the soul and kills it to find the human fragments it has eaten. Kaini is listening with focus. She tells him that the humans can be cured if they are given the human fragments. Kaini looks all gloomy and Chen Fei asks him what's the matter with him. He asks Chen Fei if he will be able to cure his mother's death-sleep syndrome if he kills the dark ghost that ate his mother's soul. She says yes, but only if he finds the ghost that devoured his mother's soul out of the hundreds of millions of dark ghosts. They lose sight of the soul and Fei asks Kaini to check the teacher's room and leave the corridors to her. She reminds him to take out the mask and be prepared for a fight anytime. Kaini affirms the order and runs towards the teacher's room. He finds the soul trying to run, and as he is about to reach it, someone opens the door and makes Kaini crash into it. We see a man standing and Kaini asks him for an introduction. The man fixes his tie and says, "I'm teacher Chen Pan." After clashing into the door, Kaini asks Chen Pan about his business being there, but the teacher says he should be the one asking this question to a fresher like him. Chen Pan questions Kaini on why he is running around in the teaching area so late, to which Kaini says that Cheng Wanwu fell into death sleep in the student union office. Chen Pan asks Kaini on how he can be so sure of it being death sleep and confirms with him if he is a doctor. Kaini is irritated by the teacher's behavior and tells him that the important thing right now is that Cheng Wanwu is in trouble. Chen Pan tells Kaini that whatever happens at the school should be reported to the authorities first, then they will decide to inform the parents, and it's not a good thing to run around the school and tell everyone about such situations. Kaini is clenching his fists, and he grabs Chen Pan's collar and asks if all these things are more important than Cheng Wanwu's life. Chen Pan says that whatever happens to Cheng Wanwu doesn't affect him. He will do his duty to downplay such matters to save the school's image. He asks Kaini to release his collar and go back to his dormitory, but Kaini punches Chen Pan with curses. Chen Pan is floored and he says that Kaini is a youth full of vigor, but raising his hand to a teacher can leave a stain on his life. Kaini tells Chen Pan that he looks like a clown. We see an ambulance outside the school premises and Kaini is sitting against the wall. Chen Fei asks him if he lost the soul and he says yes. She sits beside him and says that this incident confirms that there is a dark ghost lurking inside the school. Kaini asks her if she is sure about this. Chen Fei tells him that since last May the number of students being affected by death sleep is just increasing and Cheng Wanwu is the 90th case. Kaini is shocked by the number and asks how come this isn't a known fact around the school. Chen Fei says that's because the school managed to clear its name and handles the situation privately with the victims' families. Students who are witnesses are offered a huge sum of money or scholarships from the school. This reminds Kaini of what Chen Pan was blabbering about when they clashed. Chen Fei says this doesn't mean that there isn't any evidence about this matter. She explains that dark ghosts only attack fragile souls, for example, someone who is seriously ill or is having a mental breakdown. This means the target should be anyone and not just the students, but surprisingly the dark ghosts have been only devouring the souls of the students, and others seem to be safe. Chen Fei says it feels like there is a protection barrier against the dark ghosts within the school, and this triggers a thought in Kaini's mind. He gets up and Chen Fei asks if he has a clue about what she just said. Kaini asks her if she knows anything about teacher Chen Pan. Kaini asks sister Chen Fei where they are heading and she tells him to only call her sister Fei. Then she tells him that they should report this information. Kaini asks whom are they going to report this to and she tells him that they aren't the only ones chosen by the Eternal Realm. Everyone has made their teams to survive the brutal world of the Eternal Realm, and she is taking him to the hunting team she is a part of called the Black Eagle. Chen Fei introduces a person called Song Jiguang, a member of the Black Eagle hunting team. He is sitting in the front seat with Chen Fei. He asks Kaini to call him Old Song and tells him that Black Eagle is the largest and most well-organized hunting team in the country. Also, the death rate in their team is only a few % compared to others, so he won't have any disadvantages if he decides to join them. Chen Fei clears her throat saying that it isn't that easy to join the Black Eagles. Old Song confirms this and says one can only join with the captain's approval. They arrive outside a big tall glass building. While walking in the hallway, Chen Fei tells Kaini to not utter nonsense and to reply only when asked. Kaini understands what she means. We see Chen Fei opening a huge door to a room which reveals to us the Black Eagle's hunting group members. We come across the leader of Black Eagle and Kayan, who is an S-rank mask. Kaini and Chen Fei are overwhelmed to enter the room, and Kayan tells Chen Fei to begin her report and she lends him the reports. And Kayan feels that Kaini wants to say something, to which Kaini says that he wants to join the Black Eagles. And Kayan asks which god Kaini's mask belongs to, and Chen Fei says that it's an F-rank mask from the god of hell. And Kayan knows that this mask causes the user to die every time and wonders what can he even do with an F-rank mask in the Black Eagles team. And Kayan tells Kaini that the Eternal Realm isn't a child's play. One can face death in a matter of seconds. Therefore, comrades need to have trust in each other. He goes on to say that no one in the Black Eagles would entrust their life to an F-rank person. Kaini says that everyone was on a lower level and he will work hard to upgrade levels. And Kayan explains that the mask rank is only increased by 1 level for every 100 levels of the base level. People with B and C rank mask holders are born with higher ranks naturally, He asks Kaini how he would catch up with them, and Kayan says he isn't a heartless leader and just because he reported such importance to the Black Eagles he will make a call for him. And Kayan wants Kaini to complete this task independently and then he will allow him to join the group. Chen Fei has a problem with the leader's decision. She says the Dark Ghost holds around 90 human souls and it's very likely that it's a Dark Ghost who can cooperate with humans. She feels sending Kayan to this mission will be like rolling him a red carpet to his funeral. And Kayan seems annoyed with Chen Fei's words and says that he didn't expect a blade from the Black Eagles to have such thoughts. He raises his voice and decides to ask other members. His question to them is who is willing to let his subordinates die with an F-rank child. They all give a stern cold look and say nothing, and Kayan says that if everyone is willing to accept it then as the leader he won't stop this decision. And Kayan asks if he has the awareness that he will die every time he fights a Dark Ghost. He also talks about how Kayan wrote human lives matter in his report. He asks Kayan, don't the lives of the people present in this room matter to him? This question completely stirs up Kayan, and Kayan explains how everyone in the Black Eagles is a comrade who can entrust their backs to each other. He tells Kayan to proceed further and ask who can entrust their backs to him. Kayan gets up and says that he is ready to take this mission on by himself. The reason he wants to join the Black Eagle hunting group is that he wants to kill the Dark Ghost who devoured his mother's soul. He walks away and Chen Fei wants to join Kayan on this wild trip and this triggers the leader. And Kayan reminds Chen Fei that she holds a strong position in the group. She can be helpful but she can't forget her mission in this team. Chen Fei questions the leader's decision and with red glowing eyes says that her mission isn't to look coldly and watch the people she knows die a painful death. Kayan and Chen Fei are beside Cheng Wenyu in the hospital who is suffering from death sleep. Chen Fei tells him that he acted impulsively at the meeting and caused big trouble. Kayan asks her to stop scolding him as he had to do this to save his mom. He needs help to find the soul that devoured his mother's soul. Chen Fei asks Kayan if he has any idea about his enemy's level and as expected Kayan is clueless. Chen Fei starts her explanation and says that Dark Ghosts are ranked from high SSS rank to F rank like the masks. The powers of each level are very dangerous and it would be stupid to challenge upper rank ghosts. The most advanced Dark Ghosts resemble humans in appearance. She tells him that the Dark Ghosts he fought were of F rank and that's why if he fought them to death, it would be a draw. Chen Fei says the ones she fought were of B rank and that's why she had no issue battling them, but Kayan says that Faceless sent her flying through the temples back then. This annoys Chen Fei and she smacks his head saying that's not what he thinks like. She explains how No Face caught her off guard and a direct hit from his laser cannon caused her some serious injuries. Kayan is rubbing his head where he was just punched by Fei. Chen Fei feels this Dark Ghost is more advanced than the ones they have seen. If it's human-like then it has cooperation with humans. She tells Kayan that his rank is higher than the ones they have encountered, most probably someone of S or SS rank. Even if they team up it won't be enough to defeat an enemy of such a level and this could lead to a dangerous situation. Kayan says that regardless of the danger they have to do this. He asks Chen Fei if she knows anything about Cheng Wenyu. She says that they have come across sports events and nothing more. Her parents passed away when she was young and since then she has been living with her grandma. Cheng Wenyu's grandma has been seriously ill and that's why she has to work part-time to make ends meet for her family. Kayan relates to her as he has never seen his father and since his mother fell into death sleep he had to work part-time to pay for his sister and his school fees. He had to also handle his mother's nursing expenses at the hospital. Kayan is furious and says that he won't let anyone take away their right to live, not even the Lord of Hell. Chen Fei tells him that isn't he the Lord of Hell as he is the user of the mask of the Lord of Hell. Kayan asks her not to tease him. He questions Chen Fei about her masquerade. She says it belongs to the god of wisdom. The mask is called Silence and is an rank mask. Her mask powers allow her to stop her target in a mental confusion for a few moments and this is how she can stop their actions and find openings. Kayan feels it is similar to time-stopping skills. Chen Fei says that she can stop a Dark Ghost of her level for 1 to 2 seconds and it's very exhausting for her body. She can only use it for 5 times in a row, and before she can say something about Kayan's mask they notice Chen Pan walk past their door. They peep and wonder what he is doing in the hospital. Chen Fei plans to follow the teacher for clues. They overhear the doctor's conversation with Chen Pan. He says that his wife's condition is stable and he doesn't need to visit her every single day. Chen Pan shakes his head and asks the doctor to leave. The doctor talks about how there have been millions of cases worldwide and none of them have woken up successfully. He tells Chen Pan that they can only maintain her basic life signs, like caring for a coma patient. Chen Pan says he isn't interested in hearing what the doctor feels. He also won't owe him for the hospital and nursing fees. He asks him to leave and do whatever he needs to do. The doctor understands and takes his leave from there. Kayan and Chen Fei understand that Chen Pan's wife has the death sleep syndrome too. Kayan feels if Chen Pan's wife has the death sleep syndrome and he understands the seriousness, then he should have been more empathetic towards Cheng Wenyu. Chen Fei feels Kai Ni's words make sense, but wonders what if Chen Pan was forced to cooperate with the Dark Ghost to save his wife. Suddenly someone clashes their elbows with Chen Fei. She apologizes for it, but then something unusual happens. The person says that if she can him, then she isn't an ordinary human as they can't see dark ghosts. After hearing Dark Ghost, both of them are shocked. They gear up with their masks and get ready for the battle. The Dark Ghost tells them it would cost them a lot of lives if they fought in the hospital. He tells Kai Ni that he knows about his mother and Cheng Wanyu being in the same hospital, and he knows all the 93 patients from the school are present inside the same hospital premises. After hearing 93, Chen Fei realizes that the number has increased and feels like they walked into a trap. The Dark Ghost tells them that his target is one person per day and he has already eaten a soul today. He decides to let them go and tells them to be careful the next day. His giggles and scary face leave Chen Fei and Kai Ni terrified. The next night at the school, we see the Dark Ghost devour the 94th soul. Chen Pan is present there and he asks the Dark Ghost to leave when it's done. He says the longer he stays, more accidents will occur and the school won't be safe anymore. The Dark Ghost is impressed by how Chen Pan isn't afraid of him, even though he can't see him and only hears his voice. The Dark Ghost tells him to not worry as there are only 6 souls left. He asks if he is closer to human terms with his current strength. Chen Pan is sweating with these scenarios and worried about being caught. The Dark Ghost is in full power and says he would like to enjoy fully and finish his 100 souls quote and then fulfill his promise after that. Chen Pan remembers that the Dark Ghost told him that the more powerful the individual, the closer they resemble the humans in appearance. Chen Pan tells him that whether he wants to be a human or wants to pretend to be one, he should follow the rules properly if he wants to be under human skin. Chen Pan asks him to follow his plan and he will get to devour his 100 souls, otherwise he might put him in trouble with his antics. The Dark Ghost asks Chen Pan if every other human being is bound by rules or is it just him. Pan waves of the question, calling it boring. Suddenly we see Kai Ni in the air under the moonlight laughing at the Dark Ghost. He says that Chen Pan might have not regarded him too highly. Kai Ni lands an attack at the Dark Ghost, but it's blocked easily by him. He tells Kai Ni that it was a good move but he lacked intensity. Out of nowhere the Dark Ghost is frozen and he can't move anymore. We see that it's because of Chen Fei's powers. With the Dark Ghost freeze, both Kai Ni and Chen Fei land powerful attacks at the Dark Ghost. We see that he is not affected by either of the swords. He laughs at their sword skills and grabs their arms, throwing them away in full force. He is ready to end it all quickly. Chen Fei confronts Chen Pan and says that looks like he has no intention of explaining anything. Chen Pan is unfazed and says that they have 2 options right now. One is to run away and the second one is to die on the spot. Kai Ni is shocked by Chen Pan's intentions and asks them his reason to be involved with a Dark Ghost when his wife is suffering from the same syndrome. Chen Pan says that Kai Ni has decided to stay back and die, and that's when we see the Dark Ghost go at Chen Fei in full force. She is slightly injured but uses her powers to push off the Dark Ghost's sword. Then we see a bright light behind Chen Fei which blasts the Dark Ghost from the scene. It was Kai Ni who used the laser cannonball. He is sure the attack was fatal and must have injured or killed the Dark Ghost badly. We hear the Dark Ghost complimenting their move. Chen Fei is confused about how this is possible that he is still moving. The Dark Ghost is standing unfazed and knows that it is Faceless's laser cannon. In a fraction of a second, he gets behind Kai Ni and then impales his sword through him, and then he gets behind Chen Fei as he is ready to give her the taste of his sword. Chen Fei blocks the Dark Ghost's attack with her sword. The swords clash, but then we see the Dark Ghost charging his sword with a dark red aura. He launches a dangerous attack towards Chen Fei. It seems like the attack hit the target, but then we see that she was protected by the 3rd T captain. Cha Liang, the captain of the 3rd team, is someone with great a mask. He tells Chen Fei to escape with the kid and let him handle this fight further. We see that Kai Ni is badly hurt by the Dark Ghost, and unlike the Eternal Realm, the injuries in the real world are borne directly by one body. He tells her to make him go back to his human form and then get him to a hospital. She carries Kai Ni on her back and tells Cha Liang to be careful. She says that this Dark Ghost is unlike anyone they have faced before and he can also use human language. Cha Liang says he will handle it as he is quite confident in his escape skills. Before leaving, Chen Fei asks if they would rendezvous at the headquarters and he affirms with the same line. The Dark Ghost asks Chen Fei where they are trying to escape and tries to hurt them again, but it's blocked by Cha Liang. He tells the Dark Ghost that his opponent is him. The Dark Ghost laughs and says that he agrees that Cha Liang seems on a different level than them. He demands an introduction, calling him a kid. Cha Liang calls himself the captain of the 3rd team of the Black Eagle hunting team. We see that his body is emitting a turquoise aura as he warms up for the fight. Old Song has arrived in the car to pick up Chen Fei with the injured Kai Ni. During the ride, Chen Fei asks Old Song if the chief sent them to save them. Old Song denies it and says that Cha Liang came on his own accord as he was concerned about them. They head for the hospital first as Kaian's injuries are fatal. She tells Old Song that this dark ghost is crazy strong and she alone isn't a match for him. Chen Fei feels that they can put their trust in Cha Liang as he is the fastest in speed and escape. Also carrying an rank mask helps the situation. Chen Fei says that Cha Liang has mastered the miracle and apart from their leader nobody would dare to go against him. Old Song is nervous but finds it incredible as they haven't seen a dark ghost capable of forcing a captain level person on using the miracle. Kaian Yi with a sore voice asks about the miracle and Chen Fei asks him to shut it and save the energy. She tells him that due to losing so much blood he won't make it to the hospital and is bound to die. Chen Fei says once he dies and enters the eternal realm, he should wake up as soon as possible. She tells him to not give the dark ghost an opportunity. She keeps talking and then finds out that Kaian Yi is dead. The fight back at the school is going on tough. The dark ghost asks the captain if this is all he got. Cha Liang asks the dark ghost if he still needs that human behind him despite being so strong. He feels that Chen Pan can be a burden to him. The dark ghost tells him that he always acts cautiously and these 100 souls can't make any mistakes. The dark ghosts say to fit in with the 8 dark gods, he has been planning for a decade. We see Cha Liang wiping the blood off his face. He questions the dark ghost about the 8 dark ghosts. The dark ghost says that they are ghosts with a rating of S or above and this is the ultimate dream of dark ghosts. He explains how in theory a dark ghost gets more powerful when it devours a soul, but he says that every dark ghost has a level gap. He is currently in a plus rank and just a step away from becoming an S rank and he can feel his body progressing every time he devours a soul. We see that Cha Liang is furious with the dark ghost's motives. He asks the dark ghost about his goals of squeezing in the 8 dark gods and reaching the height of an S rank. Cha Liang is getting his power riled up and thanks the dark ghost for sharing the information. The dark ghost laughs at him and says that it doesn't matter if a dead person has important information. Cha Liang goes into his extreme mode and charges up his powers. He asks the dark ghost to shut up till he witnesses his power move. Cha Liang's attack is called Miracle Manifestation Wind God Boreas. We see huge statues towering over the dark ghost. The realm of eternity is a dreamland where the divine power is taken away and wearing the mask allows you to use the powers of the deity. But that's only the tip of the iceberg in terms of the godly powers. We see that Cha Liang has transformed into a different avatar after activating his miracle. There are many exceptional humans who have dedicated years to the cultivation of this power. They manage to merge the mask with their soul and that's how they unleash the full power of the mask. We see that Cha Liang has a different aura around him. The power he has now is just a small portion of the deity's power, but it's enough to move heaven and earth. This amazing power is known as the Miracle Incarnate. We see that in the blink of an eye, Cha Liang attacks the dark ghost with his sword, but he still manages to dodge this deadly attack. The dark ghost looks at Cha Liang and wonders what being scattered by the wind means. The statue behind him lifts its sword and attacks the dark ghost. The power is immense and the dark ghost realizes the power of the wind. Then another statue plays the strings to launch another wind attack on the dark ghost. Suddenly he deciphers the power system of Cha Liang. The 4 stone statues are the 4 directions of the wind and Cha Liang can control and freely move through the wind. We see Cha Liang attack the dark ghost's head but then again it leaves a minor injury on his right eye and the dark ghost launches his dark attack on the captain. We see his eye is bleeding due to the wind slash. He compliments the skills of the captain. Cha Liang makes a cold introduction again and calls himself the incarnation of the 11 wind god Boreas. He tells the dark ghost that he is trapped in the domain of the wind and that he is nothing but withered leaves. He promises to tear him apart in his raging wind. The dark ghost tells him that he is a mere mortal and he shouldn't speak so highly of himself. We pan to the realm of eternity where Kaian Yi is fighting an F-grade dark ghost called Thousand Foot. Looks like Kaian Yi is having trouble handling the dark ghost and also thinking about the human-like dark ghost who pierced the sword through him. He wonders how he moved behind him so fast and also did the same with Chen Fei. Kaian Yi feels the feeling of powerlessness of being killed in an instant. His motivation is to protect his family and also protect himself and that's why he is focused on enhancing his abilities and levels. The level he is on right now is just a stepping stone for Kaian Yi. He jumps on top of the dark ghost and tries to find an opening. We see Kaian Duo, who is the younger sister of Kaian Yi, praying with incense beside her brother's body. Suddenly Chen Fei knocks on the open door and scares Duo. She tells his sister to go easy on the praying as he will wake up soon. His wounds have healed and that's because he probably won the fight in the eternal realm, so waking up is just a matter of time. Chen Fei is worried about Cha Liang who is fighting a deadly dark ghost. If the captain is defeated then only the leader of their hunting group can stop this dark ghost. Duo is still praying to the heavens and earth to bring back her brother, and that's when Kaian Yi wakes up and scares his sister. He wonders why is he wearing this burial outfit, to which Duo says that whenever he dies, she dresses him in a burial outfit and burns incense so he can wake up safe. Kaini tells her there is no need for all this, she has been praying to Yama to spare his life all this time. Kaini asks his sister why it has to be Yama. Suddenly Chen Fei gets a text which probably stirs her up. We see Kaini telling his sister that she isn't a kid anymore and there should be boundaries between them. Chen Fei tells Kaini that they're in an urgent situation and it's time to leave. We see them in the car with Old Song discussing the matter. Kaini asks Chen Fei about the situation. She tells him about Cha Liang who saved them last night and asks if he remembers him. Kaini remembers the Mohawk guy and had also seen him during the meeting. She tells him about his abilities and that he possesses the powers of the Wind God. Cha Liang is the best in terms of both speed and power in their hunting team. Old Song says that Cha Liang mastered the miracle a long time ago. It's one of the killer finishing moves and there are only a few who have mastered this technique in their group. Kaini looks flustered and assumes the worst possible situation while they reach their destination. Kaini looks visibly stressed. We see that Cha Liang is overwhelming the Dark Ghost with his miracle power attacks. He is like an unstoppable force. Before the captain can launch a direct hit, the Dark Ghost disappears. We also see Chen Fei and Kaini at the fight scene and Chen Fei says that the Dark Ghost is dodging the attacks. She says in the Wind God's domain every movement is sensed by the wind and that's why it's impossible to hide, but the captain Cha Liang can't trace the movements of the ghost. Then we see the Dark Ghost emerging from a shadow behind Cha Liang. Kaini witnesses this trick of the Dark Ghost. The enemy slashes at the captain but it's useless because Cha Liang can swap places with any wisp of wind. That's why such attacks pose no threat to him. We see that Cha Liang is in the air beside the statue and the Dark Ghost looks at him from down. In an instant the Dark Ghost uses the shadow under the statue's chin and goes at Cha Liang. Kaini feels the quickness of the Dark Ghost. Cha Liang holds the sword with both hands and says four-way wind slash. The Dark Ghost is attacked from all four sides by a strong gust of wind. It's so powerful that it makes this monster cough out blood. Cha Liang taunts the Dark Ghost and asks him if hiding in the shadows is his only trick. Then we see the injured enemy merge into his own shadow, but Kaini says that it's the shadow of the grass and he feels if this move continues then it will be bad for the captain. Chen Fei wants to know the reason he feels this way. He says that even though the captain's wind attacks are powerful he can be attacked. But the Dark Ghost keeps escaping into the shadows and he can do as much as he wants to avoid the attacks. Kaini thinks the Dark Ghost can use the shadows to escape anytime he wants, but he isn't doing that because he is confident in defeating Cha Liang. Kaini feels the previous attacks were just to test the captain's power and this demon may have more in his arsenal. That's when the Dark Ghost smiles and says child's play ends here. Miracle Incarnate Myriad Hall Shadow Net. We see a wall full of skeletons start forming around the statues and Cha Liang. The captain is surprised by so many skeletons and uses his four-way attack to destroy some of them. But the skeletons keep emerging from every inch of shadow and Cha Liang can't avoid it. Cha Liang grits his teeth and powers up for a big attack. He uses the tornado break which even breaks down the school premises. After the strong attack, Cha Liang stands in a crater huffing for breath. He has used the limits of his Miracle Incarnate. He feels as long as the object forming the shadow is destroyed, the Dark Ghost won't have any place to hide. Then out of nowhere we see the Dark Ghost slash Cha Liang with his sword. He calls the captain naive and says the so-called shadow is another dimension and destroying everything won't harm him at all. He looks behind and finds out that it is Cha Liang's wind clone and not his original body. The original one has escaped from the spot. We see Kaini standing behind Dark Ghost as he speaks about devouring his remaining 3 souls. We see the leader of the Black Eagle, Dan Ning, Chen Fei, and Kaini discussing Cha Liang's condition of being out of danger. The leader names the Dark Ghost as Blade Ghost because he uses a blade against his opponents. He talks about how his abilities can merge him into shadows, and he can also summon countless skeletons with his Miracle Incarnation. Dan Ning feels tired and wants to go back to sleep. Chen Fei asks if she needs to inform the captains of all the teams to gather for a meeting. Then we made Ju standing on the terrace saying it's troublesome to gather captains for such a trivial matter. She is the captain of the second team and has a great offensive mask. Mei Ju thinks everyone is exaggerating this situation. She thinks killing Chen Pan will solve the whole issue. And Kayan asks Mei Ju to come down from the terrace so she can be more audible to him. He asks her if she doesn't want to participate in this discussion. Mei Ju jumps down and says she has to come down to explain because these people have a hard time hearing because of old age. And Kayan asks everyone if they agree with Mei Ju's suggestion and their thoughts on it. Mei Ju realizes that the leader fooled her when he said she wasn't audible. Mei Jie thinks none of them have an objection to her plan. If a Dark Ghost wants to stay in the human world, then he should have a contract with a human. She explains how Chen Pan and the Blade Ghost are bound together, so if they kill Chen Pan that will push the Blade Ghost into the Eternal Realm. Kaini feels this isn't the proper information, and says even without a contract Blade Ghost is strong enough to operate alone. He wonders why would he bother about forming a contract with Chen Pan, This annoys Mei-ju and she asks him to shut his opinion in the meeting of the Black Eagle. And Kian tells Mei-ju to stop and let Kaini finish his viewpoint. He feels that he has a point given the condition. Kaini says that the Blade Ghost can stay in their world for a limited time, but with his strength, he can still travel back and forth and devour as many souls as he wants. He wonders why would he have the pain to form a contract with Chen Pan restricting himself to just 1 soul per day. This doesn't sound like something a Dark Ghost would do. Kaini feels they should start with Chen Pan as he must have something over the Blade Ghost. He feels there might be a reason the Dark Ghost is bound with him. And Kian understands that Chen Pan might be like a restraint on the Blade Ghost and killing him would mean more problems for them. Chen Fei says she agrees with Kaini's view and this irritates Mei-ju as she feels that her teammate is bewitched by this new kid. Chen Fei tells Mei-ju that she just wants to choose a side with fewer sacrifices. The leader asks Dan Ning her opinion and she again says that she wants to go back to sleep. And Kian says Dan Ning isn't interested, Kaini isn't a part of them, so he will side with Chen Fei and start with the plan of investigating Chen Pan. This annoys the hell out of Mei-ju, then Kian tells Chen Fei that he needs to go to Country E to handle the latest teleportation portal. He puts her in charge of the team in his absence. She will be the one handling this investigation and command the entire Black Eagle hunting group. And Kian dismisses the meeting after this, but someone is triggered after the final call. Mei-ju feels that the leader always ignores her opinions. Lu Liu asks her to calm down and says the decision might be the correct one. Mei-ju feels that they are all driven by Chen Fei's beauty, but her vice captain says the last time they followed her tactics they were almost wiped out. This triggers Mei-ju even more and she feels now even her vice captain isn't on her side. Mei-ju tells him to call Cha Liang as he has only taken a small hit. She feels that he should be healed by now. She asks Lu Liu to tell Cha Liang that she is taking him to kill Chen Pan. President Peng Shi asked Chen Pan for his take on the school being hit by a sudden tornado, but the police didn't intervene in this matter. Peng Shi tells Chen Pan that he saw in the surveillance footage that a student fell into death sleep and he was right beside him, and this has been happening for a long time. He asks if his being present at the spot is a coincidence. Chen Pan asks the president what he means by this statement. Peng Shi doesn't care about the syndrome. He thinks it's a waste when a female student gets sent to the hospital after she is put into death sleep syndrome. Peng Shi asks Chen Pan to drop the act and asks him if he laid his hands on the unconscious female student. He talks about his wife being in the death sleep and it angers Chen Pan when the president asks if he feels lonely without his wife. Chen Pan starts removing his tie and rolls it around his knuckles. He tells the president that after his wife fell ill, he has been in a state of depression. He prayed to the gods every day so she could wake up and one day they answered him. He heard a voice that said if he helped him devour 100 souls then he could regain his strength and heal his wife's syndrome. Later he found out that the souls the Dark Ghost devoured would fall into the death sleep syndrome. Knowing this put him into a moral dilemma. He asks Feng Shi what he would do if he were in his shoes and punches the scared president in his face. He demands an answer on whom he would choose between 100 innocent souls and his wife. He grabs the president's hair and talks about how this old guy wanted to violate the students in their sleep. He keeps punching Feng Shi and talks about how he endured the pain of sending his students into death sleep just for his wife's life. We see that Chen Pan has completely beaten up the president and says that he is no exception when he is willing to sacrifice everything. The president says he will lose his job for hitting him and report him to the police. He talks about how after reporting him he won't be able to save his wife and protect his students. To this Chen Pan replies that people with death sleep syndrome don't speak. Feng Shi is confused by this statement and then we see the Blade Ghost behind him preparing to devour the president's soul. Chen Pan says that he is the 98th soul. Old Song confirms his communication with Chen Fei and tells her that Chen Pan and the Blade Ghost are at the hospital just like the reports say. Kaini thanks Uncle Song and prepares to find more clues in this case. Kaini calls his sister and informs her that he won't be home for dinner this weekend, as he is busy with his grinding on drawings at school these weeks. He has already ordered takeout for her and it must be arriving soon. We see Dan Ning has joined Chen Fei and Kaini. Chen Fei teases Kaini saying she never thought he would be so concerned about his sister, even Dan Ning calls it a siskin. Kaini says they both are acting strange and blush. Chen Fei opens the door to Chen Pan's office and they start going through his materials. Chen Fei decides to check his computer after finding nothing on his desk and asks Kaini to go through his bookshelf. She contacts Old Song and asks him if the troublesome duo is still at the hospital. Old Song says Chen Pan's car is still parked so they haven't left yet. Also he informs about Mei-ju asking him the whereabouts of Chen Pan. He doesn't dare to hide the truth from her and tells her the information. Chen Fei is annoyed by this and thinks she is doing this to kill Chen Pan. She asks Old Song to let her join their radio channel so she can report in real time. Mei-ju connects to them and asks why would they bother her. Chen Fei says she is the head of the team and she orders her to stand by. Meiju says she isn't stupid enough to make moves in a crowded place like a hospital. She is there to gather information and thinks kidnapping Chen Pan's wife and keeping her as a hostage can help them. Chen Fei thinks the idea is dumb as the police can't see the Blade Ghost, but Meiju can be arrested for kidnapping. Meiju says that Chen Fei is annoying and she will block her. Chen Fei feels this kid is troublesome for her mission. Dan Ning thinks even after searching for a while they couldn't find a single clue, so she decides to ask the god of memory. She uses the miracle incarnate Nemeside and then we see Chen Pan sitting on the desk in front of them. It's like a mirage that rewinds whatever happened last night in the given area. They stand behind him and look into the book Chen Pan's reading. It looks like the hunting list and they see him hiding it in the cabinet. Kaini proceeds to search for it and finds it hidden in the dark corner. Kaini opens the books and confirms that it is the hunting list. He has also marked the people whose souls have been devoured. He checks that Cheng Wanyu is the 90th target. Chen Fei asks Kaini if he notices a pattern. Kaini doesn't understand. Chen Fei says that Cheng Wanyu and Shirui are students with no family support and he decides to choose students with family problems and people with no influence. She says that some of the students in the book aren't students, which indicates that after devouring the souls of the students, he goes for their family members to eliminate future threats. Kaini's brain clicks and he says the situation matches his family. He flips the age and finds his sister Duo Duo as the 98th target of the Blade Ghost. Meiju reports that Chen Pan and the Blade Ghost aren't at the hospital and she found no records of them visiting. She says her intel was wrong and this shocks Chen Fei and Kaini. He pulls out his mask and transforms. Chen Fei asks him to wait and listen to her. She asks Dan Ning to stay behind and collect more clues. She will go after Kaini. We see Duo Duo in a cute bunny hoodie carrying food for her brother. She is carrying Kaini's favorite ice cream puffs because he might have forgotten about his dinner. We see Chen Fei run past Duo Duo without noticing her, but Duo Duo notices Chen Fei and thinks she might be on something urgent. Duo Duo reaches Kaini's school and says she will accompany him with his drawings tonight. She sings her way to the danger that's about to come. Kaini reaches his apartment to find his sister, but she isn't there. He picks up the food parcel and finds it warm and unopened. Chen Fei joins him at his place and Kaini says Duo Duo isn't home. She asks if he tried calling her number. Kaini says he tried her numerous times on his way here. He tries one more time and the phone rings inside his home. Duo Duo forgot her phone when she went outside. He found her phone and checked it, and he told Chen Fei that they were heading back to the school. Chen Fei asks Kaini how he is so sure about his sister being at the school. He says that Duo Duo ordered his favorite cream puffs for him and the last call was from the delivery person. He feels that she went to the school to find him. She would come back for her phone if she had to go far. But the school is close to their home and that's why she didn't come back for the phone. Chen Fei thinks she wants to bring his favorite food to him at school. Kaini slams his fist at the wall in anger and then jumps out of the window. We realize that he has jumped from the 11th floor and transformed with his mask on his way down. People take notice when Kaini lands on the road. He uses the Soul Summon's 1000-foot enhanced leg strength to run faster and hopes to make it in time. Duo Duo tries to surprise her brother with the food but he isn't there. She wonders if he is practicing his drawings in the dorm if not in the specialized classroom. She decides to call Kaini then realizes she forgot her phone. She thinks of asking another student for help. We see someone arriving behind Duo Duo. She feels a presence and turns back to check. She tries to find her brother and realizes there is no one there. We see Chen Pan lurking behind Duo Duo in a very scary manner. Kaini reaches the school and finds people gathered around an ambulance. He goes through people saying no as if he is hoping it's not for his sister. We see that Duo Duo is on the stretcher probably because her soul was stolen by the Blade Ghost. Her hand is still holding the bag with her brother's favorite food. Kaini is full of rage and screams Chen Pan's name. Meiju says that it would be simple if they killed Chen Pan. Chen Fei asks her to shut it for a moment, and we see that Cha Liang has joined the group. Meiju says that she would speak more rather than stay quiet because she feels if Cha Liang and the Blade Ghost used miracle incarnations and it was a barely even match. She feels the Agrades have miracle incarnations and if they team up against Blade Ghost, she thinks he can be defeated. She shows the notebook and says Duo Duo was 98th and asks if she wants her to wait till his 100th mark is complete. Cha Liang says he agrees with Meiju's idea because the dark gods the Blade Ghost mentioned was something they had no idea about. Meiju says if the enemy reaches S grade then it would be tough on them. Dan Ning says that Nkayan is also an S grade but the difference between them is huge. The rank can use the miracle incarnation but their leader can use the miracle release. His upper limit of the death threshold is different than theirs. Chen Fei says they have to take action as only 24 hours are left. She tells Kaini that he is next according to Chen Pan's list. Chen Fei doesn't want to involve him in this but sadly she has to use him as bait for the Blade Ghost. She tells him a piece of sad information from the notebook. Kaini started reading it from the middle, but Chen Fei found his mother's name on the second page. Meiju sweats looking at Kaini's face. He says there are 3 points. First is that he feels his mother's name was accidental and she might have come across Chen Pan committing the first crime, but when she contracted the syndrome, he was still Chen Pan's most favored student. He feels that just because it was the start of his wild crimes, he might have refrained from targeting him and due to guilt. But his plan is coming to an end now and it's logical of him to end everyone who is connected to the victims. Kaini feels the list is just a face and he will eradicate the family members and anyone who can't pose a potential threat to him and his plan. Kaini asks if he can put on someone else's mask, can he use their powers, since he can devour the abilities of the dark gods. Chen Fei, it's impossible and the human body can't handle the power of 2 gods simultaneously, someone has tried this before and died. Cha Liang tells Kaini that someone else also possessed his mask of the god of hell before him. Chen Fei asks him to not speak about unrelated matters. Kaini gives a cold look and asks Cha Liang if the previous god of hell mask users have died and if he is the one using it now. Cha Liang says yes and tells him that they all died while they tried to master the miracle incarnation. Kaini gets up and says that he doesn't need to use miracle incarnation to defeat the Blade Ghost. Meiju asks cocky Kaini if he has a way to deal with the Blade Ghost. She talks about his ability to teleport through shadows and how it might be a problem for them. Kaini says that's the 3rd point he wants to talk about and Meiju asks him about it. Kaini with a terrifying look says he has something that will surely kill the Blade Ghost. We see Blade Ghost sitting on the school premises with Chen Pan standing beside him. The Dark Ghost tells Chen Pan that his favored student has left the school. He asks him if they should follow him now. Chen Pan refuses and says it's too many of them and they will be alerted quickly. It's 8 in the evening and he tells the Blade Ghost to go at them after 4 AM. He asks if he can devour another soul. Blade Ghost says he is ready for it. Chen Pan says they took away his notebook which has a tracker and stilled its thick book cover. The Blade Ghost asks Chen Pan why should they go through such troubles. He has already devoured 99 souls and he can devour any random soul after midnight and complete his goal. Chen Pan says that they don't know about the principal soul and they will assume Kaini is the 99th, that's why he left the notebook to confuse them. They think they have 24 hours to plan but he plans to disrupt it during their preparations. He feels it's the best time for him to eradicate all potential threats. Chen Pan tells Blade Ghost about one more thing. He cares about his most favored student and wonders what kind of graduation answer he will give him. Chen Fei asks everyone if they are ready with the plan. Cha Liang says everything is set and they are waiting for the Blade Ghost to take the bait. She asks Kaini to repeat the plan, but he is sitting on a rock and staring into the sky. She tells Cha Liang to discuss the plan with Meiju and walks towards Kaini. She asks Kaini if this would work out as he has a low-grade mask, and he says this is the only viable option right now. If the plan is to kill Chen Pan, then he will lose his family forever and that's why they should kill the Blade Ghost this time. Kain tells Chen Fei that during his childhood whenever he had nightmares his mother would wipe off his sweat and sing him a lullaby to put him back to sleep. When he started going to school with his sister his mother would wake him up quietly. That's why in the depths of his memory whenever he woke up, he saw his mother's gentle face. But when his mother contracted the deadly syndrome, he could only watch her fall asleep helplessly. After that incident, he decided to become a barrier for his sister and protect her like his mother did for him. But he was wrong as gentleness alone can't protect his family. Kaini says he needs the power to suppress any threat against his family. Chen Fei tells Kaini that fighting with emotions often leads one to death. She has seen many of her friends walk to death in the quest for revenge. She asks him to calm down, and he tells Chen Fei that she doesn't understand him yet and says he is someone who has a big heart and critical thinker and the more he thinks about a dead end the more calmly he thinks about surviving. He tells Chen Fei that he is very calm and the calmest he has ever been. Chen Fei's radio rings and she tells Kaini to prepare as they are going to meet an old enemy. We see the Blade Ghost emerge from a shadow and he starts counting the members till 5. He doesn't sense their souls and thinks they will be 200 meters down in the warehouse. We see the Blade Ghost emerge from the shadow in the warehouse. He taunts the captains asking if they were thinking of hiding from him. Suddenly all the lights flash on and Blade Ghost wonders if he was trapped in a smart trap. Everyone starts coming out and we see Kaini standing behind the Blade Ghost. He tells him that they weren't hiding and the place he is standing on right now is an execution ground they prepared for him. Kaini tells the Blade Ghost that he will say it only once. He asks him to give back his mother and sister. The Blade Ghost asks them if they feel they can trap him with such trivial tricks. He uses his slash attack and breaks the room and leaves cracks in the mirrors open. He rejoices as the shadows return and asks them to prepare for trouble. We see someone say miracle incarnation. This troubles the Blade Ghost as he had sensed the 5th person hiding, but only 4 of them were out facing him. We see Dang Ning use her Nyasaib, and the Blade Ghost charges at her asking her to stop. But he is stopped by Cha Liang who asks if he knows about Dang Ning's power already. He can destroy the lights in reality, but he can't stop the memory of the lights they had on for 3 years. Kaini tells the Blade Ghost that they started the lights 3 hours before he arrived. The lights now he experiences are from the memory power of Dan Ning, and he can't destroy these lights and use his shadow technique. Kaini talks about how every object in the world has a dark and bright surface, but the Blade Ghost can't teleport on any surface. The shadow he uses should have a certain level of darkness, and if it's too small then he won't be able to use teleportation. He tells the Blade Ghost to draw his sword as they need to hurry. We see Mei Ju use Miracle Incarnation. She says we have only 3 hours left, looks like the game is on. Chao Liang and Blade Ghost are going at each other. We see Mei Ju emerge from the smoke behind the enemy. Chen Fei uses her power and paralyzes the Blade Ghost for a few seconds. This is when Mei Ju lands a hit and calls it the second one. We see the group talking about Mei Ju's guaranteed hit in 4 strikes. Her Miracle Incarnation, the 4th attack triggers a critical hit 100% of the time. She talks about her power and says the longer the charging time, the more deadly her hit is. She feels her attack can shake up the soul of the Blade Ghost and kill him. Kaini talks about the 2 factors of victory. The first is that they will create a space where the Blade Ghost cannot use shadows to escape, and the second is where they ensure that Mei's 4th attack hits. Kaini talks about Old Song's mask, the God of Earth, which is skilled in earth excavation. Mei Ju says that they call Old Song the miner. She says his ability isn't useful in fights, but it may come in handy in mining. Kaini says that they will use his powers to dig up a pit several meters down and create an arena to trap the Blade Ghost, then light up the arena several hours in advance. If the Blade Ghost uses his powers to destroy the light, then they will use Dan Ning's powers to restore the memory of the lights, and this way the ghost won't find a way to escape. Chen Fei tells them to leave the lights and power supply to her. Kaini talks about how once the 4th attack in the first round misses, then the Blade Ghost will become wary, sensing danger. This means they will have one chance to ensure Mei Ju's attack lands on the Blade Ghost, and for that, they need bait. We see Mei Ju in action against the Blade Ghost, and she launches her 3rd attack. We can see that it's hurting the Blade Ghost critically. Mei Ju talks about who will be the bait and then says it will be Kaini, as he is the weakest of them all. Kaini agrees with her but says he won't be Blade Ghost's ultimate target, rather it will be Dan Ning, who is preventing him from using his shadow technique. We see the Blade Ghost go at Dan Ning. Everyone is shocked that he took the bait, and then Kaini asks Chao Liang to make his move. Chao Liang uses his Miracle Incarnation West Wind 4-way Wind Slay and halts the Blade Ghost. But the Blade Ghost smartly jumps out of the trap and dodges through the wind towards Dan Ning. He says that such minor injuries mean nothing to him and that he will kill Dan Ning. Chen Fei is worried and asks Dan Ning to escape. We go back to the meeting where Kaini talks about letting Dan Ning take the hit from the enemy. He says the Blade Ghost will be in his most relaxed moment when he attacks Dan Ning. Chen Fei talks about how Dan Ning has the support type mask even though she isn't a grade. The risk of her getting hit is too risky. Kaini asks her to not worry about it and to let her take the hit. We see the Dark Ghost impale his sword through Dan Ning, but then the lights are switched off, and the Dark Ghost is confused by this move. We see Kaini talking about the Dark Ghost Anglefish's power to transform into anyone. He taunts the enemy for not knowing about it. We see that Dan Ning the Blade Ghost hit was a mirage. Kaini tells him that losing is unjust, and this annoys the hell out of the Blade Ghost. He is attacked by the 4-way Wind Slash by Chao Liang. The attacks have started to get the better of him and he coughs blood. We see Mei Ju in front of the Blade Ghost ready to launch her 4th attack with a menacing look on her face. We see a couple in an aquarium and watching the fishes. The lady asks how many years have passed since they have been on a date after getting married. Chen Pan is confused about the duration and says he can't remember it. We realize that the lady is Chen Pan's wife. She says that since they got married, they made a promise to visit the aquarium whenever they have time. Chen Pan apologizes for not living up to his promises. She says that sacrificing so many people to save her doesn't seem like the person she married. Chen Pan says he has to leave with a cold look. His wife asks if he would like to spend more time with her, even if it's just a dream. Chen Pan says he doesn't have the time and promises the next time they visit the aquarium it won't be in a dream. We see the cab driver telling Chen Pan they arrived at the destination. He asks what is he planning to do in a desolate place in the middle of nowhere. Chen Pan tells the driver to not mention it and lends him the money, asking him to keep the change. We come back to the arena where Mei Ju lands her 4th attack and this destroys the arena. The impact of the attack is huge and we see flames rocket up in the sky. We see the Blade Ghost crawling, being badly injured. He reaches near someone. The team stands proud, telling the Blade Ghost that he has lost the battle to them. The man he crawled towards is Chen Pan. The Blade Ghost makes a 1 in the sand, indicating something. Kaini tells the Blade Ghost to return his mother and sister's souls. Chen Pan tells Kaini that he thought his most favored student would understand him because they both lost people they loved. He talks about the helplessness of knowing that you're on the wrong path, but doing nothing and continuing to save your people. Chen-Pan says he has no idea what kind of powers he gains with those strange masks, and also, he has no idea about the cost of obtaining a mask. He talks to Kain Yi about how he doesn't see the dark ghost lying near his feet because he is just an ordinary teacher and he didn't have a choice but to choose this evil path. Chen Fei asks Chen-Pan to move aside as they have to kill the blade ghost, and she promises him to find the fragments of his wife's soul. He asks Chen Fei how long will it take and says his wife can't wait that long, because 1 month before his wife contracted death sleep, he was diagnosed with late-stage throat cancer and it has already metastasized. Kain Yi is shocked after hearing about this. Chen-Pan says he can't wait anymore, and neither can she. He talks about their plan of resigning and visiting the beautiful Santorini. He wants to fulfill the promise he made to his wife in the last few months of his life. He wants to take her to the beautiful sea she loves, but fate keeps playing games with him. All these years the students he taught turned out to be talented individuals, and he questions on why God would be punishing him this way. His wife runs a flower shop and provides free flowers for the weddings and funerals of friends and relatives. He questions why someone honest and kind like her deserves this, and why honest people end up badly. He asks Kain Yi to use his superpowers and tell him if there is a hell and heaven. He questions him about how they are in reality. He talks about how he feels hell is also heaven because the real hell is when good deeds are punished and when evil deeds are rewarded. Amid rain, he tells Kain Yi that he feels the real hell is the human world. Suddenly, we see the blade ghost's hand on the back of Chen-Pan. He devours Chen-Pan's soul as hits the 100th mark. All the grades are outsmarted by the enemy and he rejoices, turning into a S grade. The blade ghost's laughter and the transformation will bring more problems for the heroes. The news reporter has reached the site of the explosion and informs the people about the scene. Fire brigades have arrived at the scene but they can't reach the explosion site. They use the helicopters to spray down water at the fire, but then suddenly the helicopter explodes in the air. The reporter focuses on Chen Fei floating in the air. We see that she is in a chokehold by the blade ghost. He calls her weak as her mask falls off. He says to defeat someone like her he wouldn't need to use the miracle incarnation. We see that the blade ghost has completely transformed into a new avatar after devouring Chen-Pan's soul. He throws Chen Fei on the ground and talks about how once the dark gods belittled him and called him worthless. He thought it may have been because of the miracle release he couldn't comprehend. But now he finally understands that it's not because of the miracle release and that a grade and S grade are fundamentally different. We see the Black Eagle members lying on the ground defeated, but Kain Yi still has some power left inside him. That's because during the impact Cha Liang pushed him aside, but Mei Ju and Chen Fei didn't last even a minute. He looks at Chen Fei lying there defeated and says the only one with some power left is underground. Then we see the blade ghost pierce through Dan Ning with his sword. He taunts Kain Yi and asks if this one is an illusion of an anglerfish too. In the blink of an eye the blade ghost teleports to Kain Yi's shadow. He grabs his collar and slams him into the ground, calling out their stinky tricks. He steps on his face, saying in the face of absolute powers such stinky tricks don't work. We find out a secret that Chen-Pan's wife was the blade ghost's first soul. After watching his love for his wife he knew that he would make a contract with him. He talks about resilient souls that are difficult to devour like Kain Yi's mother. He tells Kain Yi when he ate his mother's soul, she kept murmuring her kids' names. He taunts Kain Yi, saying that the poor woman didn't know that her kids would be a meal for the same dark ghost. He thought Duo would be scared, but she had the same fearless look as Kain Yi has now on his face. He lifts his sword and calls their looks disgusting. He tells Kain Yi that his little cleverness ends here and impales his sword through him. After stabbing him through his body, the blade ghost rejoices over his victory. Kain Yi is in some kind of world where he hears a voice asking him to eat it to survive. We see a giant hand reach out to him. It's a closed palm as if it's holding something. Kain Yi asks what he has to eat. The hand opens and we see Chen Fei's wisdom mask. The voice says he has no choice but to eat it. Kain Yi denies it and says he will die if he devours the mask. The voice tells him that he is about to die, and to prevent him from resurrecting from the eternal realm, the blade ghost will destroy his body. He asks if there will be any chance for lonely souls and wandering spirits after this. It talks about his family and his teammates and asks if they will have choices. The voice asks Kain Yi to make a decision and eat the wisdom mask as the shadows are everywhere, and the blade ghost can escape. Kain Yi says he will find an alternative. The voice asks if he wants to watch his mother and sister be tormented with nightmares for a lifetime and asks him to swallow it. Then we see Kain Yi munching on Chen Fei's mask. He transforms into a deadly looking being and stands up behind the blade ghost. The face of Kain Yi makes him look like a powerful grade and looks like he will have a chance against the S grade blade ghost.